Hi everyone! Welcome back to the channel. Now, let's talk about something we all should be more open about: sex and relationships. You know, darling, just because it's between the sheets doesn't mean we should be keeping it under wraps. Whether you're just starting out, celebrating your anniversary, or dipping your toes back into the dating pool, remember this: communication is key. It's how we build intimacy, understanding, and a real connection with our partners. So, let's ditch the awkward silence, the assumptions, and the fear of a little blush. It's time to talk openly, honestly, and meaningfully about sex and relationships. Trust me, your love life will thank you for it. You wouldn't order a dessert you hate, right? So why guess what your partner wants in bed? Talking about sex shouldn't be taboo. It should be as natural as discussing your favorite foods. Think of it this way: open communication is like building a strong foundation for your relationship. It's about trust, my dears. When you can openly share your desires, your fears, and your fantasies, you create a space of safety and vulnerability. And let me tell you, vulnerability is sexy. It's about being your authentic self, and that's incredibly attractive. When you can be honest about what you enjoy, what you're curious about, and even what makes you uncomfortable, you deepen the intimacy in your relationship. It's like building a bridge of understanding. You learn to navigate each other's bodies and desires with more sensitivity and awareness. And that, my friends, leads to a much more fulfilling and pleasurable experience for both of you. But it's not just about the physical pleasure, darling. Talking about sex also strengthens your emotional bond. When you can share your innermost thoughts and feelings about intimacy, you create a deeper level of connection. It's about feeling seen, heard, and understood by your partner. And that kind of emotional intimacy is what transforms a good relationship into a great one. Remember, communication is a two-way street. It's not just about expressing your needs, but also about listening to your partner's needs with an open heart and mind. Ask questions, be curious, and be willing to compromise. And don't be afraid to have a little fun with it. Sex should be enjoyable, so don't be afraid to inject some humor and playfulness into your conversations. Life's too short to be serious all the time, especially in the bedroom. So go ahead, break the ice, and start talking. You might be surprised at how much closer it brings you, and create a more fulfilling and connected relationship. All right, so we've established that talking about sex is important. But how do you actually start the conversation? Don't worry, it doesn't have to be a scene from a romantic comedy. First things first, timing is everything. Don't try to have a deep conversation about your sexual desires when you're exhausted after a long day or in the middle of an argument. Instead, choose a time when you're both relaxed, present, and can give each other your undivided attention. Maybe it's after a delicious meal, during a leisurely walk, or even snuggled up in bed. The key is to create a space where you both feel comfortable and connected. Next, set the mood. Dim the lights, light some candles, put on some music. Whatever helps you both feel more relaxed and intimate. The physical environment can play a big role in setting the tone for a more open and honest conversation. Now, for the actual talking part. Start by simply expressing your desire to connect on a deeper level. You could say something like, "I love spending time with you, and I want to feel even closer to you, both emotionally and physically." Remember to approach the conversation with curiosity and an open mind. Instead of making demands or accusations, try using I statements to express your feelings and needs. For example, instead of saying "you never initiate sex," you could say, "I feel loved and desired when you make the first move." And don't be afraid to be playful. Sex is supposed to be enjoyable, so try to inject some humor and lightheartedness into the conversation. You could even make it a game, like taking turns sharing your fantasies or what you find exciting. The most important thing is to create a safe and non-judgmental space where you both feel comfortable being vulnerable and honest with each other. Remember, communication is a two-way street, so make sure you're both actively listening and responding to each other with empathy and understanding. Now let's get real for a moment. Sometimes talking about sex means addressing the not-so-sexy stuff. It might involve discussing challenges in your sex life, past experiences, or even fears and insecurities. But remember, darling, even these difficult conversations can strengthen your bond if approached with love and respect. The key is to create a safe and supportive environment where you both feel comfortable being vulnerable. Start by acknowledging that it's a difficult conversation to have. You could say something like, "I know this might be a sensitive topic, but I care about our relationship, and I want to work through this together." Next, choose your words carefully. Avoid using blaming or accusatory language, which can put your partner on the defensive. Instead, focus on expressing your own feelings and needs using I statements. For example, instead of saying, "You're not satisfying me in bed," you could say, "I feel a little insecure about my own body, and I need some extra reassurance and affection." Remember to listen actively to your partner's perspective, even if it's difficult to hear. Try to understand their point of view without interrupting or getting defensive. And if things start to get heated, take a break and come back to the conversation when you've both had a chance to cool down. It's also important to remember that you don't have to solve every problem overnight. Sometimes simply acknowledging the issue and expressing your willingness to work on it together is a huge step in the right direction. If you're struggling to have these conversations on your own, don't hesitate to seek professional help. A therapist can provide a safe and supportive space to explore these sensitive topics and develop healthier communication patterns. Remember, talking about the tough stuff isn't always easy, but it's an essential part of building a strong and lasting relationship. By approaching these conversations with love, respect, and a willingness to understand each other, you can overcome even the most challenging obstacles together. Until next time, take care and keep communicating.